Welcome to Vuln Vibes. Today, we're jumping straight into something pretty critical that's unfolding right now.
Yeah, we're talking about CVE 2024-7399. This affects Samsung MagicINFO 9 server.
And crucially, it's not theoretical anymore, is it?
No, not at all. Arctic Wolf actually reported early May 2025 that they're seeing active exploitation in the wild.
Okay, active exploitation.
Yeah.
So what's the core mechanism here?
Well, it boils down to an unauthenticated attacker being able to write arbitrary files onto the server.
Unauthenticated file writes, that's already bad.
It is. But it gets worse.
How so?
That write access can be escalated pretty directly, actually, to remote code execution.
Ah, the classic RCE. How's that happening?
By uploading malicious Java server pages, JSP files. Once they're on the server, the attacker can execute code.
And all this without needing any login credentials.
Exactly. Unauthenticated RCE. That's about as serious as it gets for a web application vulnerability.
Definitely a major concern. So let's break down how this vulnerability actually works. What allows that initial file write?
It seems to be a combination of, well, frankly, basic security oversights.
Like what specifically?
Okay, first, there's just no authentication check on the requests that write files. None.
Seriously, just open.
Apparently so. Then it takes the file name provided in the request and just sticks it onto the safe path.
Concatenates it directly.
Yeah. And the third piece, which is maybe the most critical, is that it doesn't validate the file extension.
So wait, an attacker can just send a request, say, save this as maliciouscode.jsp, and the server just does it. No questions asked.
That seems to be exactly it. No auth check, no check on the file name or path components, and crucially, no check that it's not an executable file type like JSP.
Wow. So that JSP file lands on the server.
Right. And then the attacker just needs to browse to it, and the server executes the code inside. Instant RCE.
So the root cause is really just fundamentally flawed input handling, isn't it?
Absolutely. Improper input sanitization is the heart of it, specifically around file names and, well, the complete lack of user authentication for that function.
Okay, now this wasn't exactly a 0 day when the exploitation started, right? Can you walk us through the timeline?
Correct. So Samsung actually disclosed this vulnerability back in August 2024.
After responsible disclosure, presumably.
Yes, that's right. And at that point, importantly, there were no reports of it being exploited.
So what changed? What kicked off the active attacks?
The real turning point seems to be April 30th, 2025.
What happened then?
A research article was published, and crucially, it included full technical details and a proof-of-concept exploit.
Ah, the PSC release. That always accelerates things.
Massively. Within just a few days of that PSC hitting the public domain, Arctic Wolf started seeing it used in the wild.
Just days. That really hammers home how fast things move once exploit code is available.
It really does. It shows how quickly threat actors can weaponize publicly available information.
So what's the current threat assessment? Is this still ongoing?
Arctic Wolf certainly thinks so. Their warning is that exploitation will likely continue.
Why? Just because the PUSI is out there?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. The public PUSI makes it, much easier. The barrier to entry is really low now.
Makes sense.
So they're actively monitoring for any signs of post-compromise activity linked to this CVE, especially for their MDR customers.
Okay, so for any organizations listening that are running Samsung MagicINFO 9 server, what's the bottom line? What do they need to do now?
It's very straightforward. Upgrade. Upgrade to the latest patched version of the server software immediately.
That's the definitive fix.
Yes. Patching is the essential mitigation here.
You know, this whole incident really highlights that critical window between vulnerability disclosure, PSC release, and active exploitation.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Timely patching isn't just best practice. It's essential defense, especially when the exploit details are public. That window can shrink to almost nothing.
And you have to think about the potential impact too, right? Especially with something like digital signage software.
Definitely. It's not just about defacing a screen. A compromised server like this could be a pivot point into the wider corporate network. Significant potential impact.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How prepared are you? How quickly could your organization react if a similar vulnerability with a public PC emerged affecting your systems?
That's the key question, isn't it? The Samsung case is, it's a stark reminder of the speed and agility needed in cybersecurity today.
Indeed it is. Thanks for breaking that down for us. And thank you for joining us on Vuln Vibes.